guys, welcome back to another video. Today's video is a part 2 to a video I did a while back talking about the Vampire Academy TV show versus the book. So today I'm going to be talking about more differences between the two pieces of media. And, yeah, let's get into it. So one of the first things I'm going to be talking about is the Strigoi. I talked about the Strigoi in the first part, and I had a few people comment in the comments that in the video I called them basically zombies, and a lot of people corrected me. And yes, they are not zombies, but the way they interact reminds me of zombies. Okay, they're not mindless. In the beginning of the show, they make it seem like Strigoi are just killing machines, that they're mindless, murdering monsters like zombies. But the further you get through the show, you realize they're not. They kill. Yes, they do. And the only way to become a Strigoi is to kill, so that makes a lot of sense. But they can still think. I don't know how much feelings they have. A lot of this video will be spoilers, but Christian's mother freaked out when Christian, murdered his father, rightfully so. And so I do believe they have emotion. I think they just don't care and will kill. I think it's just an added bonus. They're strong, they're fast, they can tear you to pieces and they don't care. So they are, in a way, at least in the beginning of the series, more zombie-like than vampire, or like a vampire that's like in the show Strain, where they're more like, I'll rip you to pieces sort of thing. But they are not mindless zombies. In the books, there's no point in the book where they're like, they can't think, they can't group up, they can't, I think there's a point where they don't group up because they don't like each other, not because they can't. Like in the show, they make it seem like they don't have the capacity to think or feel or group up or do anything but murder people. That's the beginning of the show's thoughts, and then throughout the show they begun to realize that's not what it is. They actually can. As I mentioned, Christian's parents. In the show, Christian parents play a big role in the entire storyline of season 1. They are basically the ringleaders. Well, the second in commands, I guess, because you got Tatiana at the top. You got Tatiana, and then she is controlling them, who is then controlling the Strigoi. So they're not like the top dogs, but they're second in command. And in the books, that's not a thing. But I believe that Christian's parents don't play a role in any part of the book series. And if they do, it wasn't big enough for me to remember it. So I highly doubt that they were the leaders of the Strigoi. That's a big storyline in the show, they're the big bad. They turned Strigoi because one of them was sick and dying and they love each other forever. It sounds cute, but then they're murdering machines, so it's cute, but it's also like, Andre was a shock to me. In the books, the crash does happen. Lissa's family dies, and there's mention of Andre and her parents, but Andre does not come back to life. He never came back to life in the first place, but he wasn't, alive the entire time. In the show, however, they made it seem that Tatiana had caused the crash with her Strigoi partners, and Christian's parents pulled Andre out of the car and kidnapped him, basically tied him up, and Tatiana used him for information so that she could become queen. He eventually escapes, and Lissa and him get a reunion of about 5 minutes before Christian's mother kills him, turns him into a Strigoi. The whole season, he's dead. Then you find out he's actually alive. He's been alive this entire time. And you're like, oh my god, they get to be together. She'll finally have someone. And then he gets turned Strigoi. It's like, god damn it. I suspected something like that would happen, but I was hoping they'd had a little more time than one conversation before he gets murdered. It was very rude. Christian's mother needs to stop. Okay? It was just annoying. But yeah, the major changes in the book, Andre is not alive. Andre dies, that's it. He doesn't come back, it's not a big story, he's just gone. In the show, however, they brought him, they kept him alive and then murdered him. Rude. One of the big things that happened in this season was the final battle at the school where Tatiana took down the wards and the Strigoi came in and everyone's screaming and running and dealing with this battle. Christian becomes a monk to make a new one, and he gets the blood of all of the elements, and then he gets Lissa to use her spirit to make a new one to lock out all of the Strigoi. No one knows Tatiana did this. I hope they find out. That'd be great. But this whole battle doesn't happen. There are battles within the book. Obviously, there's a lot of battles within the Vampire Academy storyline. Strigoi are a thing. But this specific battle does not happen. Christian doesn't become a monk. Tatiana's involvement is, well, that's completely for the show because Tatiana's queen in the book. She's already queen. Eventually she kicks the bucket, but she doesn't involve herself in causing a Strigoi attack that murders a ton of people. So this whole fight was fabricated for the show. Honestly, it was very entertaining. I had a good time watching. But yeah, I thought it was the final fight was interesting. People were actually getting hurt. One thing that I don't like, and it reminds me of Twilight, is when they have a giant battle where people are dying and then everyone comes out unscathed. Or they do a Twilight where it happened and then it didn't, but we don't talk about that. That's something I don't like. When it comes to battles like that, you have to have them get hurt and you have to kill someone. You don't always have to kill people, but you do have to have injury, because if there's an entire fight and everyone's just fine, it's like, what was the point of the fight then? The point of the fight is not for you to get hurt and die. But I'm saying that if they're going to have this giant battle with a ton of bad guys and people fighting, there has to be some consequences. And there were. Mason got thrown into a tree. And hopefully he'll be fine. In the books, he's not fine. He does not make it to book 6. But I don't know if they're gonna kill him off. I don't think that if they do kill him off, I don't think this is the way they're gonna do it. I think he'll be fine. Maybe he'll have some issues walking for a little while, but I think he'll be fine. Talking of Lissa and Christian, in the show, they get married. Her quorum, she needs another Dragomir, and he has enough blood to give her that. And so they do the marriage ritual. They don't actually finish it, or so they think. The queen lets her know that technically they both gave each other gifts and that they are married. So now they, by law, are married to one another, which is cute. I know they did it for the quorum, but they're adorable together, and you can't say differently because it'd be wrong. In the books, they never get married. They have an on and off relationship. They do love each other, but they do get into a few fights, and they do have their issues, but they never get married. That would be a cute thing to have happen in the book, but it never really, got to that point. It was just an on and off thing that happened. A lot of jealousy, breaking up, getting back together is the whole thing. But I'm happy to see that, and I can't wait to see what happens with it. The Viktor Dashkov storyline for the show is a lot different than the one for the book. In the book, Viktor is Lissa's uncle, I believe, and he's sick with a disease that's killing him. And he uses his daughter to torment Lissa until eventually he gets to kidnap her and forces her to use her healing abilities to cure him of his illness. And almost killing her, because he's cool. In the show, however, he's running for king, and there's that whole storyline. And he does use Lissa, but it's in a different way. In the book, it's he tortures her without her knowing, and then eventually kidnaps her and uses her that way. In the show, he gets his daughter killed. Well, she turns Strigoi, but that's basically the same thing. And then he really wants to become king, so he gets that stuck in his mind, and he locks Lissa in a room until she gives him what he wants. And she decides, you know what, I'm going to give him what he wants, but he's going to be guilty. He'll feel guilty eventually. So she, shoots him up with spirit, screaming, and then her and Rose leave, leaving him be. And, in the end, he does get to see Sonia again, and it cuts, but it looks like that she attacks him, which is fine by me. I kind of don't want him to become a Strigoi. Honestly, just kill him. Because, like, in the beginning of the show, I liked him. In the book, he's a total douche. But, like, I liked him. I was like, oh, how are they going to make him evil? And I'm like, okay, I kind of see it. And then near the end, when all that stuff was happening, I was like, I mean, I wouldn't say he deserves death. But he deserves to be punished just a little bit. Just a little bit. In the show, the queen is poisoned. Her feeder someone poisons her feeder, and it's a poison that Lissa cannot heal and is going to kill her. So, while the attack is happening on school grounds, the queen gives Lissa some more time so she can get to safety. In the book series, Tatiana is murdered, as this queen is murdered. And in both instances, it is blamed on someone who didn't do it. In the show, they blame it on Lissa. Tatiana gets her wish and becomes queen, and blames the whole poisoning thing on Lissa, as she was the last person to be with the queen. It'd be easy to blame it on her, even though it wasn't Lissa's fault. In the books, however, it is blamed on Rose. Rose is to blame for the murder of Tatiana, even though she didn't do it. Everyone thinks she did. And so there's a whole court case situation where they're trying to fight for Rose's life. And that may or may not happen in season 2 with Lissa, but it's a very similar circumstance where they were blamed for something they didn't do. At the very end, Rose's mother, she shows up for the fight, but at the end of the last episode, she meets Rose and hands her a piece of paper with a number on it, which is her father's phone number. Rose has never met her father, who is a Moroi, and this intrigues and scares her at the same time. I mean, who wouldn't? And then her mother just walks off. In the books, however, she accidentally meets her father in Russia. And then later on, when that whole court case thing is happening, he's her lawyer, which is interesting. He's her lawyer trying to protect her. So he does have a role within the book series. It's not a big one, but it isn't where she's given a phone number and she goes directly calling him and looking for him. It's by accident. In the books, it starts out with Lissa and Rose being in the human world, having run away from the academy to hide out and, live normal-ish lives after everything that happened. In the show, it ends that way. Her family died and she took a few-month break, and then Lissa came back to Rose, and then they found out that Rose was Shadowkiss, and that Lissa had spirit, and then you have all the Strigoi attacks and all this crap, and it ends with Rose and Lissa going into the human world to hide because Tatiana has put a hit out on Lissa because she claims that Lissa murdered the queen, which didn't happen, and they are hiding out. They're leaving to go hide. So they took the storyline from the beginning of the book series and put it at the very end of the TV show. In a different way. It's not the exact same reason they're leaving, but they are leaving into the human world, so it's very similar. I mean, it's an interesting way to do it. I've seen a lot of people who hated the show. It's only been one season. I don't know if it's confirmed if there's a season 2 yet. Honestly, I'd watch it. But I am a person who's not a super fan, depending on what it is. Some things I am very critical of it, and I will watch it, and I will judge it hardcore. Other things, I mean, I'm a fan, and I thought it was good. I have read every single book of the Vampire Academy series, and I liked the show. It is very different from the books. If you wanted the books to be an exact representation, in the show, that's not going to happen. There are things that happen in the show that do happen in the book, but a lot of it does not. So if you're someone who does not like that sort of thing, you're not going to like the show. But if you're willing to give it a shot, I liked it. Of course, it was not perfect by any means. It was not an exact copy of the books. There were things that they changed that I wish they hadn't, and there are things they changed that I'm kind of happy they did. I enjoyed the show. I honestly hope there's a season 2. If you guys, don't, you hated it or won't even give it a chance, that's fine. To each their own. Not everyone has to like everything. But honestly, I'd give it a chance. Like, if you're a fan, at least give it a try. I mean, you might hate it, but you might not. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If there is a season 2, I'll be back again to do more of these. And I hope you enjoyed. I'll be back again on Thursday with another True Crime Thursday, on Monday with whatever I decide to post. Alright guys, I'll see you later. Woo!